right, guys, welcome to Sundays with Pops. Today we're going to talk about the differences of when my dad grew up and kids growing up now. So, Pops, what do you think?
Well, it's all good, but it's a matter of what the differences are, right? Because, I mean, whatever time you live, if you make the best of it, it's good. But I grew up, born in the early 50s, so that means I got to enjoy a whole bunch of my life without all the social media and technology and computers and all that kind of stuff, which are fantastic, and they bring all kinds of good information and everything to our fingertips. But when I grew up, my mom and dad were buying encyclopedias. Every year they'd buy and we did the same thing. They would buy a new encyclopedia to keep up with what we bought. Mm-hmm. And so when you wanted to find information out, you'd go look at the encyclopedia if you were lucky. And if you didn't have that, you would go to the library.
Yeah.
We still have libraries, but people don't use them for much anymore, I don't think, But so that's one thing as far as information goes. It was in books, or it was in libraries, or it was like that kind of stuff. And so that's what we have today is better because we can just ask Siri, right? That's a much better way to do things. But what I liked also about growing up in those days is we did not have all the technology. So, yeah, we had a TV set, watched some TV. I couldn't even tell you what I watched because I don't remember. When we got through going to school after the day is over, we went outside to play.
Yeah.
So if you had homework, you'd do your homework, and then you would get to go play with your friends.
Yeah.
And so that was a much easier time because you didn't have all the distractions and challenges you have today, right?
Yeah.
So I love that time frame because, we lived in a little neighborhood. You've seen it. Every house was the same house.
Yeah.
All they did is flipped it over so the back porch was on the other side.
Yeah.
But and so we all basically grew up in the same situation. Wasn't, nobody knew they were poor or not poor. We never thought we were. I don't think we were, but we weren't wealthy by any means, but so all of our friends did things together. We went to a place just a block up the street from our house. We call it the Woods. That's because it was an area of woods that somebody owned.
Yeah.
And they let us play in the woods. And
Yeah.
so most of our time would be playing, together outside, doing crazy stuff that we thought was crazy, but it wasn't dangerous. Or we would play at the church playing basketball or playing on the front lawn. Or we'd go to the woods.
Yeah. How old were you?
I mean, if you look at it, I started going to church probably about 7 or 8 years old. Mm-hmm. So through, 20 years old, I lived in that house.
Yeah.
But, and 4 brothers, well, four siblings, 2 sisters, 2 brothers, and then later another brother, right? Came along late. But, and so, but we had our own friends, and we played somewhat together and somewhat with other friends and stuff like that. But we used to go up in the woods and make forts, dig in the ground, cover yourself up with boards, or else we'd do things in the trees, And like kids today like to shoot BB guns and stuff. We shot BB guns. We had the same Daisy BB guns that are still around today, right?
Yeah.
And we did a lot of crawling up in trees that had little plums, little round plums like that. Call them Potawatomi plums. We'd sit up in those trees, get a few boards up there so we could lay out and relax and shoot birds as we ate plums.
Yeah.
They were flying in to eat the plums too, so. But that was an easy time, right? I mean, there wasn't a lot of other distraction that you get from all the stuff that the kids get today. So to me, that was an easier time. We had to go figure out what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right? So we did that, and we played a lot of football on the front lawn of the church because it was rectangular grass, and it made it so it was a nice, football field.
Yeah.
Right? So, and we played it with friends all over the place. We used to ride bicycles. That was our big deal, was bicycles going places, and we were so crazy. We used to do something that most people don't do. We call them crashing into each other. We would try to run into each other with our bikes so they could make it so his tire wouldn't run right or whatever. Then we'd carry a hammer to pound it back out. And our big deal was popping wheelies.
Yeah.
How far you could go on your wheelies with these goofy, tall handlebars,
Yeah.
so stuff like that. So that was a lot more fun to me, than later on. Of course, we grow up, and so that fun changes to something else, right?
Yeah.
You can remember probably some you did when you were younger, when we first were having children. I mean, now you go all the way from the 50s to the 90s, right? And so you say, what did you like doing? You tell me.
Oh, I had the best childhood. I always talk about it all the time. I mean, I remember always bike rides with you, like in my childhood. That was a huge thing. I think just remember you and I always went on bike rides. And then like kick the can and all the neighborhood night games. And you would be out there, which was awesome because it was my dad out there playing with us. And then I remember we would put like all the tents out in the back with all the girls, remember, at the house, and we did a whole like camp out. And we had like 5 or 6 tents and a bunch of my friends. I don't remember a lot of the video game stuff, but we didn't really have that. Like, your mom didn't really allow those, did you?
Well,
because that was the start of video games. I remember my friends had Mario Kart and stuff, but like, I don't remember us having any of that.
The start of the video game was that tennis thing, Pong. Boing,
Yeah, I don't
boing,
remember that.
Boing, boing. It was boring as spit, so what the heck. It's much more advanced today, of course, on the things people do because we're so much into electronics, which is great, except for you lose some of the social part of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so if you remember all those things, yeah, we did a lot of that kind of stuff when we were younger. That's what we did.
But you didn't allow us that stuff.
Well,
Like the video games, I don't think, which to me, looking back, was a blessing because I had friends that had all that and they were on that all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's when it started the most, was when I was a kid.
Yeah, I don't remember the video games as much because we didn't
do that.
Video games just wasn't something that were good when I started up, and then it was nothing I really did. So anyway, that's just differences between. I like to divide it between the first 50 years of my life and the next 25 years, because the first 50 was up until 2000, and the next 25 is up till 2025.
Yeah.
And this everything is good. I mean, in the sense that you get good out of everything, or you can get bad out of things sometimes. But. So both of those things are fantastic. I mean, we finally threw away the encyclopedias. Because when my parents had encyclopedias, when you guys became our kids, we had encyclopedias again.
I remember the encyclopedias.
Yeah, and we would buy an edition every year.
Yeah, I remember
So,
that.
because that was where when you needed an answer, we'd say, go look in those encyclopedias. J for whatever the word is, G for giraffe, go get the G one, right? And
Yeah.
figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And so, those kind of things were still available to us, but as technology changed, lots of businesses changed too, didn't they? Because, I mean, encyclopedias aren't part of it, except for you surely can get the same kind of stuff on the internet, right? And so if you want to find out something, you can. But, so that was good. Another thing I'll tell you that we did before we had kids, I mean, when I was a kid, we used to be, our whole bit of being rambunctious, we never really did anything wrong. But we did some stupid things, like we would go out at night and we'd get out under a street light in our neighborhood and we'd fake like we had a rope in our hands and 4 kids on one side of the street and 4 kids on the other side. Yeah. Cars would come and we'd fake like we were having a tug of war.
Yeah.
Back and forth, and they'd slam on their brakes. Or I had a friend who, was a kind of a wild and crazy kid. He would put on a big overcoat with a pillow underneath the overcoat and this big wig that came down around his shoulders, and you could hardly see his face, and he would knock on people's doors, and he would make grunting noise to them, and he'd hit them with a fly swatter. That's pretty wild, right?
Boys, in a nutshell.
And we would just be in the bushes rolling and laughing while he was doing all that stuff, because and he was agile because he was young and kid, and so some of the older folks would come out and try to catch him. He'd just whack him with a fly swatter.
That's so funny.
So we did goofy things like that, but it was never bad stuff. I remember one time the kids wanted to throw snowballs at cars.
Yeah.
And I never would throw snowballs at cars because it was dangerous, but I'd go with them to throw snowballs at cars. So up the street, across the street from the church, we're throwing snowballs at cars, but I never threw one. But when some guy slammed his brake on, everybody ran but me. And I didn't run because I didn't throw the snowball. But guess who got in hot water for being there because they wouldn't believe I didn't throw a snowball, right? So, because snowballs can, if they're wet, can break windows, right?
Very dangerous, yeah.
So, but we really never did it tough. I mean, to me, we did other things when we went up to those woods, because behind those woods there was a gravel pit.
Yeah.
And the gravel pit had big old mounds of gravel. And we would take 2 boards, nail it together like a little cross, sit on the back of it with your feet on a sled, and slide down those gravel pits. We had a lot of fun like that. And we did
Yeah.
other things when we were younger that we had fun. We used to go tubing all the time down the rivers. We
I
went
remember
down.
you telling me about that.
I can mention some of those rivers. We went down Big Cottonwood, Little Cottonwood, Provo River, which people
Yeah.
have done, right? You've seen them there when you're fishing,
Oh yeah.
you know. But we would tube a lot down all the rivers, and as far as we could go. You know, when it was springtime, it could be pretty dangerous because the water was running so fast. You'd have boulders running down in the
Yeah.
water in the bottom. But we just loved to do that. And when we tubed down the Provo as kids, if the fisherman was nice, we would paddle way out away from him, try
Yeah.
not to disturb
People
his
don't
fish.
do that anymore.
But if they weren't nice, then we'd roll right across the front of them, which is bad news bears, right? So we should learn to appreciate what people are doing, and so we're not messing up. But yeah, Provo gets used a lot for that, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It gets used a lot for people to go down the tube in the Provo River. So then we graduated when we were, married with children, and we started doing overnight trips on rivers that were bigger with rafting trips. We weren't rafters, we were just the participants. We were just riding along with the river guides, but we did things like Flaming Gorge down below that stretch of the green we've talked about. We went down San Juan River, we went down the Colorado down past Moab in there, and did a lot of river trips, and that was a lot of fun. So anyway, those are things you do for entertainment more than today. Yet people still have the same kind of fun. There may be
Yeah.
boaters and stuff like that,
Well, there's some things you can't do. Is like you were talking about the kid that would go to the people's doors. I saw this reel the other day. So of this guy that's teaching his kid how to doorbell ditch, right? And like nowadays, like you don't doorbell ditch because everybody has a ring, and you don't toilet paper, right? And so it's like the times have changed, and even like we have a Karen in the neighborhood, and like the boys the other day were like, "Can we toilet paper her?" I was like, "Sure."
I don't.
I'm like, "Go for it," because I remember mom taking us to toilet paper. Like
Well-
mom would take us.
If you toilet paper for fun and you're not creating it for
A huge
harm,
problem, yeah.
it's no big deal.
I don't think it's a big deal. I'm like,
It's
that's part
fun.
of growing up. Like, same with
Yeah.
doorbell ditch. And there's this reel of this dad. The kid goes to the door, and he rings the doorbell, and he doesn't expect the lady to open it. And he opens it. She opens it, and he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And she goes, "Well, what do you need?" And he goes, "Well, my dad said it was a critical part of childhood bonding, so we're doorbell ditching together." And she's like, "Your dad's with you?" And the kid's in the back, or the guy goes running, and he goes, "Run, idiot!" And the kid goes, "Sorry," and starts running.
Well,
It's so cute.
they call it doorbell ditch. We just called it ringing doorbells. So it was no big deal.
Yeah,
you
but
know.
nowadays, like, I guess there's been some stuff that's happened around that, which is like kind of crazy. But it's just like that's what like so much has changed.
Well, if you look what's changed today, for example, I mean, most people buy stuff on Amazon or on deliveries that comes to your house.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
what, 4:30 today.
That's created crime, hasn't it? Because people steal that stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, we never had anything that we had mailboxes, but anything big, we had to go get the post office to go get it.
Right.
You know, so things happen, but not like it's any real negative type thing. I mean, people that are going to be crooked are going to be crooked.
Right.
You know,
I
so
like
to
the
me,
positivity.
ringing doorbells or toilet paper and still ought to be part of the game.
It should be part of the game. That's
not
what I
that-
think.
It's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. Now, as long as you're not offending somebody and they're not having a heart attack trying to get to
Yeah.
the door or something like that. But
I think the worst one I did, my brother taught me how to do.
what was that?
$2. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Put something on the
You
door.
put some dog poop on the back of the dollar, you put it out in front of the store, and someone picks it up. It was funny until one lady, a little old lady, put it in her purse, and we were like, oh, we all felt so terrible. She didn't even notice, and we were like, oh, that or we'd super glue quarters to the ground.
She must not have been able to smell.
It was sad. It was a sad day, but the rest were hilarious.
Yeah. So
But-
those kind of things are not bad in my book, Got to do something for fun.
Yeah.
Now we do other things for fun, just like you love to fish and the kids love to fish, and those are great activities, outdoor activities. I look at all the people that are hunting now when you see them on the internet. It's crazy, right?
And you didn't like hunting, right?
You know,
Didn't shoot a bird or
I
something?
wanted to go hunting for a certain point until there's a certain point where you decide that I'd rather watch the animals than kill the animals. So as a kid, we shot birds all the time. And one time when I was a little guy, probably 12 years old, my brother and I both got a little 20-pound bow and arrow for our Christmas present.
Yeah,
Little red bow that, was just fiberglass.
yeah.
And I went down to a little field and with my bow and arrow one day, and I saw this red robin. People used to say robin.
Yeah,
But so I pulled back and shot and went right through that robin.
yeah.
Killed it. I felt so bad that kind of started changing my attitude towards killing for fun.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with people that hunt to eat. That's great, you know. So it's just, for me, it's not something I want to do. I never was successful at it. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but there's lots of sports that people do, and that's one way that the Department of Fish and Game helps monitor and keep track of what, you know, so we don't have animals freezing in the wintertime.
Right. Right.
Because they try to keep track of the herd so that they're sustainable and available, you know, so nothing wrong with that stuff. So there's lots of sports that people do, and hunting is one of those, and, you know, anything else you want to do. So a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. What do you think about like you see my kids now? They're totally like there's your generation, mine, and then my kids now, and it's totally different. They're all so different. But what do you like seeing my boys their age, just and all the grandkids? Like, what would you want for them to be able to have more of if you could change any of that?
I still think the outdoor activities are by far the best stuff.
Yeah.
Because you basically get stuck within your own little bedroom or whatever watching videos all the time. So and you're trying, like every other parent does, to get their kids involved in some sort of activities, sports usually, so that they have a reaction to friendships.
Yeah.
And they learn how to be friends, right? And that's great. But, you know, we did that too. I mean, I played baseball as a little guy, and I was afraid of the ball. So I played right field. Right field's the last place the ball's going to go, and it's going to be slow when it gets to you.
Down. I can't.
But getting pitched a hard ball like, you know, kids do,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
to me, that's kind of spooky because they get whacked once in a while, right? But I think sports are great and whatever you want to do. But I mean, I think that anything you can involve the kids in with friendships, even in your neighborhood, is the best you can do. As long as you keep track of what's going on, because friends are great unless they lead you the way that you don't want them to be led. That's whatever your call is there.
Yeah.
You know, so. But that's to me is the best way to have relationships with friends, is to go out and do things like that together, just like going golfing or whatever it might be. You know, those are all fun things, and they're cool activities. You know, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just the difference between the times. So, but today, you know, everything we have that's electronic is beneficial to us. Except for now, we're starting to get into AI, and we don't know sometimes what is real and what isn't.
Oh, it's happening hard.
Right?
It's everywhere. Yeah.
And so it makes it really difficult to, and we've also come into a time frame in the last 10 years or so where everybody's calling everything fake or unreal, you know. And I think for the most part, most people are good and want to tell the truth. And so when you see stuff that's fake and that, like that, kind of you're told it's fake, it kind of makes it hard to believe what's real, you know?
Yeah.
So we're pretty lucky to be where we're at. And so anyway, that's the difference between here and now. You know, I mean, the same kind of things happen in going to like high school, like whether you're playing basketball with the team or you're playing football on the team, or whether you're a cheerleader or whatever the heck it might be. You know, that's just another activity that they try to provide for you to have, you know, good social upbringing, I guess you'd call it, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So, but you don't have to do all that either. Some people just love to read books. Mom read books all forever. She's a big book reader, so she's learns a lot about what's going on, and that's a great place to be, is to know what's going on in the world with all that kind of stuff. So anyway,
I love
what
it.
do you think?
What do I think?
About growing up?
About growing up, like for me versus my kids, maybe, or what do you mean?
Whatever. Yeah. What's different? I mean, what's different from when you grew up versus what you're trying to do for the kids?
Well, I think that technology is such a blessing, but I also see how much it hinders not only my children but me. Like I find myself, because my job is social media, but also like even this week I was counting how many hours I am, and I'm like, man, I get on there so much, and I have my kids right there, and it's like that's a distraction for me as a parent, and it's a distraction for them, and it's like we have to sometimes put those things away. But so it's a blessing, but I also think that it's so important for them to have like the outdoors and
you're doing both of those things.
Yeah, I do both. But I mean, even looking back, like at my childhood, I think, like you looked at, like we might talk about me going to rehab at some point in the future with you and Mom. It's a kind of a big topic. We'll see if we do that one. But I think a lot of those kids that were in there could have benefited so much from having a group of friends that, or like a hobby, instead of going down this road of addiction somewhere else. So I always wanted my kids at least to have the ability to have something outdoors or some passion that they love, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. If they want to ride their bikes, they want to fish, they want to play basketball, they want to read, whatever. I was like, whatever they want, I'm going to help them like have that, because I wanted them. I feel like that friends and everything with today is, I mean, it's always that way. Since from you being a kid to my kids being kids, I think that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, I think that the kids, and you're giving them lots of opportunity to experiment with fun things. And they'll like some and they will get tired of them, and they'll like others and won't get tired of them, and who knows what it'll be, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we go through phases growing up as well as we go through phases in life, and we've done a lot of sport things over the years. We were going to talk one time maybe about the old beater motorhome and stuff like that, but you know, we did what we could afford to do at those times, and we did a lot of camping.
Yeah.
We don't think we did a lot of camping, but we did. We
I
went
remember it,
We
yeah.
saw a lot of Utah in an old beat-up motorhome that, you know, didn't burn all the gas and made you sick inside. Couldn't wait to stop and plug it into an air conditioner. So, but you know, but those are just things that everybody does that are good. So, you know,
Yeah.
part of the game. So anyway, I think there's, you know, we label ourselves by, like, I'm supposed to be a what do you call it, a baby boomer, because after World War II was over in like 44, 45, then everything got back to normal and people started having bigger families, you know, and what'd you call your generation?
I think we're millennials.
A millennial?
Yeah.
You know, and there are we label them,
Yeah.
you know, and there are some differences, you know, but it's based on what's going on around them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not like they're bad, you know,
Just
what's the latest
evolving.
one? What's the latest one?
I don't know.
There's a
I can't remember.
latest one now where people just don't seem to worry about getting ahead, just want to have fun. You know, I mean, and it's hard. The other thing that happens in the economic situation is, you know, I mean, I look at it when I was younger, you know, I mean, I remember my dad's house payment was a certain percentage of his income, and it was hard.
Yeah.
Well, mine was a percentage of the income too. It was pretty similar,
Yeah.
and that was hard. But I think it's got harder because it's harder to earn a living today. The cost of living has got higher than the income levels, and so people are struggling a lot with that. And so very few of our population is able to have what we always thought was the American dream, and that's have a home they could live in,
Yeah.
you know. And so we're building the heck out of apartment houses,
Right.
you know. So things change with economies, you know, and so we're lucky to live in the country we live in and have the freedoms we've enjoyed and stuff like that. So, and we're still lucky to live where we live.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. So we're pretty fortunate, and a lot of goodness in the world. We just have to find it, right?
Yeah.
So
I love
anyway.
that. Thanks, Dad.
So is that enough yakking?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. All right, guys. If you want any or any specific topics that Dad and I could talk about, we're just chit-chatting here in the garage, hanging out. But if you have anything you want us to talk about, or questions you want to ask my dad, or whatever, feel free to drop them in the comments or email me, whatever. And thanks for coming.
Yep. See ya.